Hi, this. Good morning, everyone. Hmm. Taking a breath to receive you, to receive this moment. And yeah, anybody who connects with us, whether it's now in this group or later on, I'm going to introduce um, this group. We meet regularly. It's called the Miracle Mind Meetup. If you are ever feeling the nudge or the call to go deeper into A Course in Miracles, we meet every Wednesday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, online, open to all, come as you are, right? Um, and give whatever you can, whatever is possible for you or you feel to give. So we are here to go deeper into the principles of the Course, to apply it to our lives, to hold a space of non-judgment and love, and, really watch the mind, see what's coming up, and have a safe space to do that together and walk this path together. So if you have any questions about that or would like to join us, feel free to get in touch with me at any of my socials, which is Spirit Led Steph or awakenpedia.com, where they have all the lists of different meetings that happen throughout the month. So welcome, welcome, and thank you for being here. As you guys can see, I'm in a new space. And we got the narwhal over there, the rainbow narwhal, and just bags and a whole lot of movement happening. But feeling very thankful to be in this new space. And what is interesting is, and I know Ashley and I have spoken about this specifically because Ash has, seemingly traveled a lot and been to different places and stayed in different places, but something that comes up more and more the more we either travel or move. It really, um, what's happening in the form becomes less and less significant because the focus is on what's happening within. What is happening within my mind as I do these changes, as I move into new spaces, as I face this quote unquote seeming change, for example, in my curriculum with my daughter, right? And moving to a new city. And so the mind can make that a really big thing, as far as overwhelm and, tasks and stress. But there is always a choice. And this is why I'm so thankful for a practice like A Course in Miracles and what Jesus is bringing to us, because it's really saying, look, you can use all of this. This is all for you. This is all for the liberation of your own mind. Everything that you do, doesn't matter how big of a deal it seems, right, in the form, and that's okay if that's how you feel. But the more you do it, spirit leads you to, I mean, once we open ourselves to be like shown, I want freedom, I want healing, I want this, like this is the true prayer of my heart. I want to heal my mind because I understand now that my mind is the source of all things happening, right? Like the source of this experience, right? So let's get to that. And so it's like, okay, if that's really what I want, then I'm going to be given experiences to have and learn that and forgive things that I maybe believed in the past or was very attached to. So it's like there's always a gift to be given so that you can heal, so that you can release these concepts. And a big concept that gets released the more you move or travel, for example, if you have this underlying inner intention of true healing through all of it, specifically looking at it through the lens of the Course, is, you know, home is where we are truly, right? Home is in God, and we carry God with it, with us, the signature of God, the light of God. And I know I point to the heart because that's like the symbolic place, but really it's just like the mind has the light within it, right? To choose it all the time. And our experiences within the dream, whether it's moving to a new place, whether it's getting a new job, whether it's a new person in the family, or um, like a disease or something happening within the body, symptoms, right? As the course would call it. All of these things are invitations for us to look at the mind. And there's a very specific part of the course that talks about mind training being a really important fundamental aspect of being able to grasp the rest of the course. That we need this mind training first. I mean, there's a part in the miracle principles for miracles that it talks about purification is necessary first, right? Like miracles are natural, but we do need to purify the mind to be able to have that natural, that experience of them being truly natural. So when we're disconnected from truth, from source, from the light, from that oneness aspect of the mind, the awakened mind, I guess you can call it, we don't, let's just say our access to miracles is blocked. Um, and so that's what it is. The Course in Miracles is a device so that we can begin to like peel away these layers of the veil of Maya, of the illusion, of the separation, so that we can start like getting glimpses of more miracles and then like more miracles. And then, wow, an overflow, a shower of miracles, especially when we truly hand it over. And I just feel inspired to share that because, a moving can seem like a very overwhelming thing. Um, and don't get me wrong, there are moments where you're like, okay, I need to slow down, or like, and I need to slow down maybe physically, but first it's mentally because we're moving fast because our mind is moving fast. And, overall, it's been an opportunity, at least for me. Past Steph would have just seen this as another move, another, thing to get right, to get done, to make sure things are aligned, to have that pressure of getting it right, whatever that even means. and and now it's like, woof, nope, I'm in for the ride. Like, okay, the next thing and do the next thing. And then just like open up the heart, open up the voice. This has been a big part for me, like really expressing what it is I need, I don't need, what's going on. And having other brothers and sisters join in that experience, join with them. And the miracles happen between brothers and sisters. It's literally when minds join. So that's been really, really what a gift to experience. And Node, who was on here, just literally moved across from where I was in Miami, and the encounters we've had and the things that have been taken care of, both for her and I, and really everybody involved, right? Like we're all blessing each other. It looks like different people doing that, but it's really these beautiful symbols of just blessings and connection with each other. Whether it's, I don't know, something as simple as like, oh my God, I think I need boxes. I need more boxes, right? And then, I don't know, she knocks at the door and then I'm like, oh, do you happen to have boxes? And she's like, wait, yeah, I do. And then the neighbor heard and he gave me 3 more boxes and I had all the boxes I need without having to step out of my house. Like just small things that reflect that connection, that oneness, that abundance that's just like there, that's always there. But when we are in our own private mind, in our own things, trying to control what's happening, like, oh, I got to do this and I got to get that and I have to purchase this and without this sort of like relaxed, okay, maybe I do have to get that, but let me also just keep flowing with what I'm doing and I can be open. This has been my experience. And it's been wonderful to just see the reflections and the witnesses to love and the miracle together. So yeah, I'd love to hear if anybody else has had something or in that experience of moving or anything coming up, currently with the idea of miracles, if anything comes up. Hmm.
Something came up for me while you were speaking because I realized how much it has shifted. So after my divorce, which was almost 8 years ago, I think I moved 8 times in a matter of a year and a half. And the moving at the level of form was necessary for certain reasons. But when I think back, it was me constantly seeking home at the level of form and never feeling that I found it. But then fast forward 8 years, and we decide, we are inspired to just get rid of everything and just go, just travel for deeper unwinding of the mind. Like that was our purpose. It wasn't to see the wonders of the world, it was truly to go deeper within the mind, see the preferences that we had fallen into and that were still there. And mind you, like you said, Steph, I laughed when you were like, when you open the door for it, it will come, and it came. Like so many different opportunities to release and learn. And, of course, when I viewed through the ego, they were painful, but looking back, they were so beautiful. And then the moment I think that was really the awareness of the shift was I was at a grocery store here in Bonaire the last time we were here. So months ago, almost 6 months ago, probably. And I was talking to these guys that were there here traveling to dive and stuff, and they were older gentlemen. And I was telling, they're like, "Oh, do you live here?" And they just kind of got an understanding of like, "No, I've been living out of a bag and blah, blah, blah. And this is what we're doing." And the guy's like, "I'm so jealous of your life." And I was like, And then I left and I thought, oh my gosh, I remember for all my life being so jealous of the people that could just go travel the world. And I thought it was their travel because I was like, in my head, I was like, if you would have saw me a few months ago on this remote island being like, get me the heck out of here. Like, and I'm, like in this place of just anger and trying to control, like you're talking about, instead of allowing the miracles to come, you would have been like, I am so grateful that that is not my life. Right. So then I just had this epiphany of like,
Mm.
no, you are not jealous of my life, you're jealous of my state of being, and you have pinned it on my lifestyle, the belief that it is located in me traveling the world, when in fact you're meeting me at a place of joy, because that traveling the world was probably one of the ugliest things at the level of form. But it was always this release of the story, so that when I met them in Bonaire and got to share with them, I was just coming from connection. So what I was always seeking in my divorce actually was true connection at the level of the mind. And then our intentional travels has provided that opportunity. So now it's like, I mean, I swore I would never go back to the cold weather, and we're about to spend 6 months in Spokane, and everything. Like when I try to go to in why would you go there? Like, you need to go there with my alpacas and all this stuff. I'm like, it's going to be cold. Why are you going, Ashley? But it's because it's inspired. It's through the miracle that we're going. And it's about the connections. It's no longer about my body preferences. It's no longer about Ashley's preferences. It's instead about where am I needed in this moment, and knowing the amount of connection that comes from that. So that's what, like, I just had this, like, this download when you were sharing stuff. I was like, oh my gosh, because I traveled so, I mean, I moved so much when I was after my divorce, and then it never came to fruition of what I was seeking until later when it was very intentional. So
Mm.
I just wanted to share that.
I love that.
Wow, Ashley, that was very inspiring, especially for me right now. Oh my God, I'm trying to do exactly the same thing, you know. A couple of work opportunity has come my way, and I need to make a decision, and asking, Holy Spirit, what to do, where, exactly what you just mentioned. Where am I needed? I want to live the purpose of my soul. I don't want to leave the purpose of not making who's gonna pay me the most. That's usually my mentality. And in this case, I'm throwing all that. I just want to follow the Holy Spirit. So thank you. Your story was really an inspiration for me. Appreciate it.
I love that because um, in our experiences, we begin to reflect each other. And um, when we travel or when we have, like Ash said, we have this, I think we all have this at some point, and obviously in different areas of our life because we feel like they're different, but the mind is, working where it can as it moves along in the healing process. But changing our scenario or place is a big part of, you know, this idea of looking for home. And we also do it in partners, right? Like, oh, this is not the partner because they're not my, like you come to know this, and then the partner is not the home you wanted it to be, and it's not providing what you thought it would. And that's not to say that there aren't relationships that have come full circle to give themselves what they needed. And it may be time to, move away or, yeah, to end a relationship, right? But like as well, it may be time to move away from a home. But I think a big part of what we're trying to become aware here is, what is the intention behind why I am moving? Like, right? Am I moving to escape something? Or am I moving as I'm called? I'm really called towards something else. And there is this sort of like almost like even if I stayed here, I would be okay. Even if I would remain here, I would bless this place and I would accept it fully. And I think that that level of surrender, because we have a very specific idea, and those are the ideas that get purified, right? We have a very specific idea as our life changes and our ideals change, then the ego starts morphing into like newer ideas of the things that'll make us happy. And yeah, I love that. Oh, I just saw Mike's message. Wherever you go, there you are. Amen. That's it. And so it's just so beautiful to just, take a step back always and see what the intention is in the mind for anything. And if we're just really taking the next steps, right? Like what feels like the next most, um, you know, peaceful, loving, helpful step in whatever is being invited. So, and each curriculum is different. That's the truth, right? Our curriculums are highly individualized. But if we're looking at it from the level of the mind, right? If we're looking at it internally, things are going to change, whether it's the partner, whether it's the career, whether it's the travel, the home. And where we're being really invited to is that home is within, home is in God, and we are with God already. And so it's like this real undoing of like, you are not alone. You will never be there. You are not capable of being alone. You are capable of believing the lie that you are alone. Those are two very different things. And this is what Jesus is teaching us. And it's just like coming back to that knowing. Sometimes it just takes an instant of remembrance, like, oh, right. I'm like, this is more than me. This is not even about Steph. This is not even about Ash, And actually, that's when most suffering comes, when it comes, because preferences come from the character, from the person, from the personality. So, and it doesn't all go away in one instant. And, actually, I can't even say that. It may, every curriculum is different. But let's say that it isn't unfolding for everyone and in their own curriculum. And so, yes, we are all learning and walking together, no day. And Ash has a beautiful way of putting it because of like, look at that in a span of a year, 8 times moving, like that that can bring up some stuff. That will absolutely bring up stuff like that. I mean, come on. In 2 years, I've moved 4 times with my daughter. Yeah. But like, it's just like it brings up things. It also brings up like, oh, I'm not stable or I can't take care. Like all the things that like maybe I'm not finding the right place for us, right? Like I haven't gotten the right place down. And it's like, oh, look at those thoughts. Look at that. That's coming up. That doubt thought is coming up, you know? And and what a tool we have in the Course in Miracles to show us that the mind training is the basis of all of it. So it's not what's happening that we're at the will of. Our practice is always taking it back to the mind so that we can see what's truly going on and what's being reflected. But it really is just an invitation um, to look at yourself, to look at what it is you're thinking or even believing in because of whatever's triggering you or frustrating you or whatever beliefs are coming up to be released, always to be looked at and released. So, yeah. You know, I was reading today and I thought we can go into it. If anybody has anything to share, please come on and, and feel free to share. Let me see this part.
Well, you're looking at that stuff, I think
Yeah.
like the biggest thing the other day of the mirror of you sharing the same thing as I was sharing it is so beautiful. But the aspect of when you start to unwind the mind, you start to everywhere feels like home. And it didn't appear that way at first. I just thought like, oh my gosh, I could stay at this place, right? Like this place, like I could live in Bali. And then it was like, oh, I could live in Komook. Oh, then I could live here. Like when you get there, you're heavy. And then by the time you leave, you're like crying and it's your place because there was so much shedding and the connection at the level of the mind. So now it's like literally, I'm just aware of like everywhere we go, and leave, if it has that feeling of home at either end, then many of the things that were meant to be uprooted there were uprooted in the process, and that it's truly a place in the mind. Because it's kind of, I always view us as like navigating the mind, right? Like what's that Inside Out show or whatever, and we're like inside the
Mhm.
mind and moving around to different places. um yeah, I think that's really like the wholeness. Everywhere feels whole, nowhere feels lacking, despite it lacking a lot of things. There's a lot of foods on the island I can't get. There's a lot of this, there's a lot of that, but it's not about the wholeness being externally. It's about being within, and you start to just feel it everywhere you go, everywhere.
Absolutely. What's that beautiful line from the Course that says, "You are at home in God, dreaming," here it is, "dreaming of exile, but perfectly capable of awakening to reality." And that reality is just where you truly are at all times. And it's always that internal posture towards everything. And that internal posture is where you are in God. And from there, we look upon the world, we look upon the move, we look upon our partner and our friend, and it just changes everything. Yeah, it changes everything. Absolutely. Um, Let me go here. This part. Actually, why don't we read this? It's literally the name of this section. Listen to this. The name of this section is called At Home in God. And this was not what I was going to read if I get the chance, but I feel called to read this specific section called At Home in God. I mean, let me share it and we can read it together. Here we are. Does anybody feel to read? If you can see it, I know some are on your phone or.
I can read it. Can you hear me?
Yes, Mike, beautiful.
Okay. At home in God, you do not know your creations simply because you would decide against them as long as your mind is split, and to attack what you have created is impossible. But remember that it is as impossible for God. The law of creation is that you love your creations as yourself because they are part of you. Everything that was created is therefore perfectly safe because the laws of God protect it by his love. Any part of your mind that does not know this has banished itself from knowledge because it has not met its conditions. Who could have done this but you? Recognize this gladly, for in this recognition lies the realization that your banishment is not of God and therefore does not exist.
You can keep going. This is the next slide. Yes, right here.
Okay.
Thank you.
You are at home in God, dreaming of exile, but perfectly capable of awakening to reality. Is it your decision to do so? You recognize from your own experience that what you see in dreams you think is real while you are asleep. Yet the instant you waken, you realize that everything that seemed to happen in the dream did not happen at all. You do not think this strange, even though all the laws of what you awakened to were violated while you slept. Is it not possible that you merely shifted from one dream to another without really waking?
Yeah.
You want me to go on?
Yeah, I think we'll do number 3. I was just thinking about it. So yes, let's do that. Let's do this last one.
Would you bother to reconcile what happened in conflicting dreams, or would you dismiss both together if you discovered that reality is in accord with neither? You do
Mm.
not remember being awake. When you hear the Holy Spirit, you may feel better because loving then seems possible to you, but you do not remember yet that it was once always that it once was so. And it is in this remembering that you will know it can be so again. What is possible has not yet been accomplished. Yet what was, I'm sorry, yet what has once been is so now, if it is eternal. When you remember, you will know that what you remember is eternal and therefore is now.
Okay, let's stop there. I thought this line stuck out to me. So, would you bother to reconcile what happened in conflicting dreams, or would you dismiss both together if you discovered that reality is in accord with neither? You know, earlier up here, he's talking about the dreams when we go to sleep, right? That we feel are different from right now, um, this experience, right? That we feel like here I'm awake and in the other one I'm asleep and dreaming. And what he's saying is, you know, is it not possible that you merely shifted from one dream to another without really waking? Right? Like how
Mm-hmm.
that's like, okay, wait, this is like, okay, so he's really inviting us to look. I mean, it says it all over the course, right? But you are still dreaming, right? You are the dreamer of the dream. And truly the dreamer of the dream is the mind that is asleep, right? That is seemingly divided as Steph, Ash, Nore, Mike, and so on forth. And so, what an invitation. It's always an invitation to step into the mind, to be aware that this is where the dreaming is happening, right? He's like, it's a conflicting dream, the one at night and the one actually my daughter woke me up this morning saying that she remembered she dreamt about a scorpion on this, the floor. And then there was a dog and there was Pepper and the dog and they were playing. And then she went over and then the scorpion bit her foot. And then, but if she bends her foot this certain way, like a ballerina, then the bite would go away, so she could see it, and then she couldn't see it anymore. Like something, she was like, "Mom, it was a crazy dream. It was crazy." And I'm like, "Okay," but it just goes to show, like, our mind is set up to believe that that is the dream, that is the dream world, right? And and Jesus is inviting us to look at, like, all this moving that you're doing with your daughter is the dream. All these meetups that we're doing is still part of the dream, right? Like we are now maybe creating a level of awareness to what's going on. That's the invitation that's always coming more and more, but it's all still part of the dream. And that, I think the intention is to really dissolve that line from, like, the sleeping dream and the awakened dream, and realizing that none of it is reality, is what he's saying, right? What if you discovered would you dismiss both together if you discovered that reality is in accord with neither of these dreams? So, yeah, you are at home in God, dreaming of exile, but perfectly capable of awakening. And that is, in the end, the most important thing to remember. I don't know if anybody wants to say anything or has something they would like to share. Please always feel free to come on. Yeah. A question, anything.
If we can continue reading, it will be great.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Yeah.
it's answering me so many questions that I had. So this has been perfect for me.
Beautiful, Node. Okay.
You want me to continue reading?
If you feel to, Mike.
Yeah.
Sure.
What paragraph did we do?
I believe we went right home in God. 3, when you remember, you will know. Yes. So we're just number 4. Is that?
Yeah. Will you remember everything sorry, you will remember everything the instant you desire it wholly. For if to desire wholly is to create, you will have willed away the separation, returning your mind simultaneously to your Creator and your creations. Knowing them, you will have no wish to sleep, but only the desire to waken and be glad. Dreams will be impossible because you will want only truth, and being at last your will, it will be yours. The problem is that, yes, we want peace, we want love, but I'd rather have drama, you know? So we don't desire holy. We're more
Right.
interested in, in the fight and the argument and I'm right and you're wrong. And, So we
Yeah,
let that get in the way.
yeah. Sorry, Mecca. It just made me think like it's just like the ego's voice is still loud, is still loud enough, let's say,
Mm-hmm.
that and the thing is what's tricky or interesting rather about this awakening and coming to truth and just really wanting something so holy is that we will find ourselves literally in moments where um, the unconscious will come up, right? Everything that the
Mm-hmm.
ego mind has and it will come up. The question is now, is my desire to heal greater, right? Greater than the desire to fall for this circumstance, this moment, this
Mm-hmm.
conversation, this trigger, even if I already got triggered, even if I already fell to some sort of extent, right? Or even if I already made a preference, it's really coming back to like, what is my truest, biggest desire? And if so, then I can always use whatever's in front of me to watch my mind for the mind training, which is that process of purification that is consistent and, you know, ever occurring. It is a moment to moment awareness of what's coming on, right? Like even right now, I can invite you guys all right now and notice how the awareness can change to be aware of the thoughts that are in your mind in regards to what I'm saying, in regards to this space, in regards to ourselves as different lives from each other, right? And from that, we create an awareness around that because that's where the mind training is, right? We can use this space, of course, to go deeper into the course, right? And to go into the principles and talk about them. But simultaneously, and I would say the deepest practice we could do is use this space to be aware of what we're thinking while we're using the space. For example, me just hosting the space, right? Me becoming aware of what it is I think needs to happen or I should be prepared for because I'm the one hosting the space. And like all these things and pressures, I'm inviting myself to use this as a way to obviously come into union with my brothers and sisters, but also heal my mind, right? And to truly empty out the mind, right? The purification is an emptying so that the Holy Spirit can come through, so that it's not about Steph and it's not about getting it right in a certain way. Rather, it's just about being here in whatever that looks like. And that's the same thing for you guys, right? You're showing up today and it could we can show up to groups, whether it's a Course in Miracles group or another group, and we could very much be caught in separation, in thoughts of separation, even though we're reading about ideas that are trying to break away and dissolve, or better yet, dissolve the illusion of separation. But that's because the mind is so much attached to the dream, right? The dream that we are separate, that that person is saying something, or that person may be acting rude, or whatever it is that we're interpreting. And what we're doing is reinforcing this separation. And so, like, the real invitation is, what am I thinking while this conversation is happening? What, or what thoughts are coming to mind, right? Because we don't even have to attach to those thoughts. That's been my experience. Like, what is coming up for me in the mind versus what am I thinking? At the beginning used to be, okay, what am I thinking about this? Or what am I thinking about this? And then it kind of shifts into like, okay, what thoughts are coming up? Because I realize more and more, it's not just me thinking, it's the sleeping mind and I'm accessing that and the guilt just comes up, right? And it's not about like, what did Steph do wrong or do right to get this? No, it's more like, what is coming up to be healed? What is sort of like, what is the lesson for me today in this? And for me, through my curriculum, right? Um, yeah. And so I don't even know where I'm going with this, but I just went here with the dream. It took me there. And so if anybody else has anything to share, please do. Ah,
I love that you did go there. Because I think it's the piece too of remembrance that Ashley is also a projection. Steph is also a projection. So the mind watching, I think, I don't know. There, there's personas of what a spiritual person looks like. And so it has to be this peaceful, quiet, loving person. But that may not be the case. And I had an experience where when we were here in Bonaire, and we're healing the mind or whatever, and then the dog's behavior is the same. And I said to Patrick, I'm like, what? But we must not be healing the mind because the dogs aren't changing at all. And he's like, it's not about form. It's about, is the dog at peace at mind, right? It's about the mind being at peace. It's not about the level of form. And then, the next layer is then Ashley. I'm not Ashley. The I am you were just talking about, Steph, of observing the thoughts and stuff, is observing the thoughts of Ashley, observing the actions of Ashley. And of course, the ego could run with that and be like, oh, well, then you should go do a bunch of bad things and blah, blah. You know what I mean? But that's not, this is at a different level of really being the I, like the one I that is observing all. And it just so happens right now, like your closest observation you feel is the body of, Ashley, of Steph, of Mike, all. So I love that you brought there because I think it's so easy to think, well, oh my gosh, I just yelled at someone and what was wrong, but it just like came out of nowhere and it wasn't like this conscious thing. I just yelled. And to me, at least for me, those are the moments that now the ego is looking back on a moment that was actually inspired for whatever reason it may be, right? Like that moment, everything is happening exactly as it should. And so to me, yeah, I don't know. So I just love that you brought that up, Steph, because I think it's easy to be like, well, if I'm healed at the mind, then I should be this perfect being that's always loving and always this. So then when something does happen, it's another way in for the ego to produce shame and guilt.
That was great, Ashley. You took me to a place that I had never been before. And it was when you said, we have an spiritual persona. We'll have so many personas. It's incredible. I've been trying to shed all of them, one by one by one. But just by listening to you and mentioning that, you it's amazing because I don't want to have a persona. I want to be my soul, period. And if that soul is accepted in this world or not, it's not my concern. I just want to get to that one. I want to get to the core. Like they say it in Hinduism, they use the analogy of a lotus flower. And every time a petal, the lotus flower is the flower with 1,000 petals. Every time that you shed a petal is shedding a personality or peeling that famous onion. But I like I like the analogy of a lotus flower much better. I'm kind of a romantic. And just by listening to you when you said that, my mind went through what kind of persona are you having right now? Is it the spiritual one, like you mentioned? How you are identifying in this world right now? And you're right. I'm using so many personas in one day that is incredible. Um, so thank you for that. I'm going deep into that thought. Hopefully, I can get what I need to get. This class has been super good. It's amazing. Just by listening to you guys, how many how many changes has happened in just a couple of minutes. And I love it. I love it when I learn. But then again, Course in Miracles is unbelievable. It's an amazing learning tool for really going deep into your soul. Thank you, guys.
Mm. Thank you, Node. I love that. That's a perfect example actually of what Ashley was saying. Like she's literally just speaking what comes to heart and mind. And it ends up being what Node needed to hear, right? And but she could then go, if let's say Node didn't say anything, but we wouldn't have gotten that confirmation, let's say vocally. Ash could have gone back and like any of us and said like, man, oh man, maybe I shouldn't have said that. Like we're all this, like, and that's when the ego creeps in. It's literally what she was talking about, whether it was with a harsh voice or with a lot of passion or super monotonous. And this is like the form is always what's challenging for us to like read through. But ultimately, it's like, no, if it's coming up and it's coming up in this way, the only way I can judge it, it has to be a past. And that's something that came up when you said that. Like, we judge, like, even when I feel, for example, triggered with my daughter or something like that, right? And it's coming up for me to look at and I speak a certain way. I do not feel bad when I'm speaking a certain way. Of course, I do want to be aware of being respectful and loving. Like that is my overall intention. But there are moments where I feel a certain tone is more appropriate or just comes out, right? And the only moment I can feel bad is not when it's happening, but right after it's happened, because a new thought has entered about it. And it's interesting because I literally had this conversation with my daughter. I was telling her something that after, let's say, maybe saying it 7 times, by the eighth time, and I literally almost warned her, I'm going to start to change my voice because I can see that you're not hearing me. And this is a time that we have to start moving in this direction. Mommy's not hurrying, but whatever, whatever it was at nighttime, it was getting ready for bedtime, which as moms, any mom knows can be a very stressful time. Getting ready in the morning and getting ready for bedtime. And so I do all in my capacity to really ease these processes and these times, right? I'm not here to try to make them more stressful or add to them. I do also have to, keep with a certain flow so that she can get the rest that she needs that is most helpful, let's say, in the experience. So in any case, all I'm getting to is that talking to her, um, what were we saying? Oh yeah, that I said something to her and I changed my tone and she put a pouty face on and she put her head down. She went like this. I immediately felt bad because of because of the form. Or rather, let me get very specific, because of my interpretation of what she did. Not because of what she did, but my interpretation of what she did is what caused here. And I exposed it. And I was like, and now I feel bad. Now I feel bad, even though I'm the one trying to like get us to do this together. And now I feel bad. And she's like, not only do I feel bad, but I feel mean. I said these words, I feel mean. And she says, but mommy, you're not mean. And I'm like, but you're making a face that makes me feel mean. And she's like, but you don't have to care about the face I make. Literally.
Wow.
And it brings tears to my eyes because she's like, that doesn't mean that you're mean. I just need to make this face. Like that's the face I want to make because that's how I feel. And I told her that's true. You have the right to feel how you feel, and so do I. And it doesn't have to mean anything more than what we feel. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
And so that is a perfect example of like how we can take something, right? and make it mean something. And really, it was just my interpretation, my guilt coming up for whatever, right? What in whatever form was the opportunity for me to look at, and then the Holy Spirit speaking through my daughter,
Wow.
because she's had enough, in our life in this experience together where I tell her, your feelings are valid and what you feel is what it is, and that's okay. But I need my feelings to be valid too, And it's always this, and that's that like that creeping up of mother guilt, like getting it right and doing it the right way or the loving way. And it was just like boom, just a quick smack in the face, a spiritual smack of like, that's right. And it just made me look at my own mind. And we went straight back into the book and started reading and, whatever it was. So, yeah, in the words of Ari, you don't have to care about what other people's face is doing. They let them do whatever face they have to do.
Mhm.
What a lesson. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Like you said, like it's only the role that makes you believe that you have to do all of these things for her. And I don't know, I think it's someone
Mm,
you follow, Steph, or something. Someone was commenting on parenting the other day in regards to like an approach from A Course in Miracles. And so there's this big movement of spiritualizing parenting, right? Like the conscious parent, being ever loving and ensuring to raise these conscious children. But the truth of the matter is, the script is already written. And when we believe that we need to act a certain way, like where it produces shame and guilt, right? Like we still have like parenting thoughts and stuff where it produces shame and
hmm
guilt if it doesn't happen, then we're being grandiose to God. We're believing that that child does not have
mm,
a script that is that is so not apart from what we create it to be. And so like I feel like that was like a direct example to you of like you may think you're the parent,
mm.
quote unquote, as your role, but your greatest, teachers are are the little ones, I think, often because they so clearly don't filter it through the ego and they just allow spirit to flow through them. And but so often society is like, that's not okay. Right? Like picking their nose or running around naked, right? That's just what they feel like doing. But society says no, not okay. So a lot of like the messages, um, yeah, I don't know. I think that was so good. So good.
Yeah, one thing that I love about kids is that they're honest. Whatever they feel at the moment, they go ahead and express it. And I think that is just freaking fantastic.
It
It's
is.
amazing. I want to be a kid in that aspect. It's
Mm,
just beautiful. The coherent is amazing. I personally think that we need to learn from them. They're our little cats. They come with this wisdom. Society and us as parents are the one that can truly damage them. They're just perfect the way they are. We,
yeah.
I don't know. I think that we need to listen more to them.
Absolutely. They are and what great teachers. And like Ash says, because the vessel is clear in many ways,
Yes,
the
definitely.
vessel is
Definitely.
not
Definitely.
not clogged with all the teachings of and parameters and things, belief systems of society and the paradigm and all the whole thing. So absolutely. I'm trying to remember um, something that came to mind now that you said that. Hmm. I don't know. It'll come to me. But it was generally about you know, using all of it as and um using all of it as the backdrop, right? As the place to heal. you know, I have the role. Oh, I know what I was going to say now. So I felt very much guided to, for example, conscious parenting as a parent. Like that just felt like the most natural thing when I read about it, because conscious parent, the at least let's say the version, because people start making their own versions, but what I read and was exposed to had a lot to do with looking at yourself. Look at your fears when your kid starts doing something. Be aware of the self, because that is how we implant. There, okay, yes, there we go. That's how we implant um, our fears upon them. We pass down. The mind passes down, right? The sleeping mind continues to let's say feed that. So for example, climbing a tree, right? Kids climb a tree. We've all been there, especially in the Latin community. If you climb a tree, your parents are about to scream and say, "You're gonna fall, get down." That's like a very normal response in the past. And so something that conscious parenting would do is, stay close and allow them to, and watch yourself, watch your mind, watch how you want to tell them to, hey, no, come down, that's too, and you learn to create limits. And like, for example, you would say, okay, you can go up to the second branch, right? And they could just figure it out themselves. And then you don't help them down. They have to figure it out themselves, but you can guide them. And so for me, that just felt very, very much aligned. But it's interesting how it can also, I mean, anything can be used to then, for the ego to then say like, oh, this is the right way of parenting, right? This is the ideal way, when really, like Ash says, and like Jesus is saying it, the script is written and it's there, and the freedom is in allowing the script to be what it is. Yeah. And we can come from whatever we feel inspired to do and be and follow, always with the understanding that the script is written. And so, for example, when I decided to put her in nature schools, that felt really beautiful and opening. And it was a challenge I had to face with her dad, who thought like, oh my God, there's no fences and there's no security, or, anybody can just take her. And I'm like, okay, let's talk about this. And, sure, we get these feelings because it's in an open park. And so like these things would come up, and I could see now how useful they were for liberating the mind from these concepts. And yet, being in there for a couple years, the constellation changed in our family. And now, me wanting to make it a nature school thing for her forever, that sort of plan, right, or intention that I could see that all nature moms want to go into, we all had to face a huge change about that. And I say we all because the nature school had its own changes. And beyond that, I had a constellation change in my family. So like, it's just like, I could fight it and be like, I need her to be in this school, need to make it happen, or be like, okay, I guess I'm opening myself up to something new that's allowing for a new experience. Because at the end of the day, it's not about what is the right way. And that has been also a beautiful learning curve for me. And that's through the motherhood curriculum, right? Through the idea of the role of being a mother and getting it. So yeah, it's just like this shedding away. Okay, nature school is beautiful, and now we go to this school, and then it's all types of schooling, and then it might be homeschool, and then it might not be, and it might be public school, and it's just like, it's like really shedding away these opinions and preferences within within our curriculum. So and that applies to all. And let me just read here what Ash said there. Beautiful example. No private thoughts. Yes, kids. Exactly. No private thoughts. Huge part in the Course in Miracles. Huge part in the Course in Miracles. Because if we're understanding that we're all one, then truly, is there a private thought? Let's think about that. There can't truly be a private thought. But when we believe we're having private thoughts, then we're creating this idea, this illusion of separation, because I believe I know this about whatever, and I don't share it. So that's why exposing is so powerful in the healing journey, especially through the Course in Miracles. They still come with their lessons, or they would not be here. And it is all a tool. Not all tools work. Not all tools work are meant for everyone. Yeah. Yeah, how they work. Exactly. And that's just the curriculum. So we can get inspired by each other and learn from each other. But it's also a delicate dance to not be like, oh, that's what I need in my life. Oh, what she's doing is what I need, right? Like, oh, I need to go to we've been there, Ash and I, spiritual community. That's the thing that I need. Um, and it's the invitation is just to shed, forgive, and come into this moment. So I have to close this session a little earlier than what I am known to. I generally let it flow a little later than this, but this is the hour. I'm doing some covering and extra hours. So I just want to thank you all for sharing this moment and coming in the mind and joining in this way so intentionally and so beautifully. Thank you for being here. What a blessing.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Dad. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Go shine your light, my friends. The one light we all are. Ciao, ciao. Love you,
Ciao.
love you.
Ciao.
Bye, guys.
Bye.